everybody. This is something new that I'm trying out. You're gonna listen to me talk over this painting that I did. A total of 8 hours it took. Sped it up by times 16 and downsized it into 27 agonizing minutes for you to watch and listen. And I'm probably sure that none of you will listen to this all the way through or watch it. But if you do, well, all to you then. Good job if you'll survive. Anyway, this is actually some client work I did, which I can show. The task was to do a box design for a pirate game. Well, it's actually the cover art for the box, and it's a pirate board game, with cards and everything. Yeah, I mean, I jumped on it. It was a really cool opportunity to do something I've never done before, which is ships, sail ships in particular. Pirates and marine war and all that good stuff. It was definitely a challenge, as it was not easy. As you can see, you'll probably be able to tell that I was a little bit struggling throughout, and the painting was like 95% of the way ugly until the last few minutes. Yeah, I mean, we learn, we fail, we learn, we get up, we keep going, right? So, yeah, I think I started going into details a little too fast, but that's fine. I started with one ship, doing the cannons, just having fun with it. Adding some details, copying, pasting some cannons from the bottom to the top, then moving on to the other ship. And I started with a SketchUp model and found a really nice angle. It's just amazing how much SketchUp saves you time if you just take your time to learn how it works. It's super easy, super effective. Saved me tens, if not hundreds of hours on client work projects that I did so far. Really, really cool stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's free. If you have the commercial version, you can use it commercially. For building portfolio, it's completely 100% free. There's no reason why not to use it. There's like a gazillion models available for free as well, and you can use them for your commercial work as well, as long as you have the full commercial version of SketchUp. This makes it really, really, really time efficient, and all you need is basically the perspective and the information that it saves for you, and all the calculations, all the hard stuff, particularly the perspective. That's the hard stuff, because the foreshortenings and the angles. So when it's fun, you can definitely have fun drawing it, but it would take me probably another 2-3 hours just to do the sketch, because I presented 3 different sketches from 3 different angles. So that definitely saved me a bunch of time. And what's really cool about SketchUp is that you can actually make it look as if it's a sketch. So it doesn't, you can see the underline, the sketch part. It just looks like as if I sketched it. Looks just like a drawing. It's really cool. It has all kinds of filters that you can try out. So it's kind of fun. Working there on the 3rd ship. Some details, some lights. Man, this painting looks so ugly right now. And it's tough. It's definitely tough to push through, but you gotta push through the ugly phase, and it can get frustrating because you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. It looks so ugly, but I gotta finish it. And there's moments of doubt when you ask yourself, what the heck am I doing? Do I even know what I'm doing? But experience helps. I knew I will push this through, and I knew it'll work out eventually because I've done a few paintings in the past and it worked out fine. Even if I fail, it's okay. You can always start and repaint, and it's not the end of the world. But I actually never ended up with painting a client work from scratch yet, and I hope it doesn't happen. Because I follow up some good steps, sketches, color compositions, so I don't leave anything to chance. So if you present step by step to the client, then you have much less chances of being surprised for the worse, right? So I feel like if you work on a piece for 10 hours and you don't post any progress shots to the client and just present him the final, that's a mistake. That really puts you at risk of client not liking it. To be honest, I've done it, so don't do it. It's just not a good practice. More details, ropes, and all that other good stuff. And some more texture, clouds. Here I started doing some smudging on the clouds, which helps them not to be so sharp. Because you don't want the clouds to look sharp. You want them to have a mixture of sharpness and softness. It's a game, really. It's a game of soft versus hard, but for the most part, clouds, they are pretty soft looking, except the hard edges, which you usually get when the light hits it, like I have right here. We can go back a little in a moment. You can see. And adding more details, trying to add some depth. Yeah, I've never painted sail ships before. Well, I did did some design, but never did a full painting like this. It was fun. It was for sure. It was fun. Definitely do more. I have a bit more confidence in it. Man, I was actually quite the uncomfortable doing this. My confidence was down. I wasn't sure if I'll make it look any good, because this is like 3 or 4 hours in, right? And it's not looking that great. Gotta learn how to all that comes with practice. Make the paintings look good while working on them. It's always good to learn different ways of approaching doing a painting, as discover a lot of things. Yeah, slowly covering the under sketch and trying to hide details in the darker area, and then some details on the light area on the left. Maybe some details on the cannons, on the sails. Yeah, and throughout the painting, the sails look really bad. And I kind of, I looked at them, I was like wondering, well, the sails don't look that hot. So towards the end, I figured it out because I wasn't communicating the material properly. And that's when reference comes in. And I had the reference open all throughout the painting, and just didn't study the sails enough, because they're made out of fabric, right? It's a pretty thin fabric, thin enough that it's not going to be too heavy, but strong enough also that it can withstand the winds. So, and fabric folds, so it's not like just right now. They all look flat. All the sails look flat because they don't have any folds in them. It just doesn't feel right. And I just left it for the end. And at the end, I realized that it just doesn't look good. All right, clouds. More details, more ropes. Yeah, that whole area definitely did not feel just realistic enough. I just added more things to the side of the boat ship. What's really cool about SketchUp is throughout the painting process, I could actually go into the models, and since it's 3D, I just float around, look at the details of the ship, and really learn how things are connected. It's really helpful. You can zoom in, zoom out, see exactly where the ropes go, and you kind of figure out, it all makes sense too. Yeah, understanding how things work really helps to make things look more realistic, because then you understand really the ropes of how things work. Yeah, adding some holes in the sail, like shot at with cannonballs and muskets. Not too much. I didn't put too much in those holes, because then it's like subtlety is key. You gotta be subtle, otherwise it's just it's really easy to overdo. Like just overdo the whole thing and do tons of everything, and then you lose track and lose balance. But subtlety is really key, and you learn it. Eventually, you learn how to balance everything. Some splashing on the sides of the boat. So this is supposed to be a storm, so you have a lot of movement going on, a lot of water splashing everywhere. So the boats are moving constantly, and they're fighting each other. So you really need some skills there to know when to shoot those cannons. Alright, what's going on there? Oh, I think, this is where I tried to add lightning. Yeah, let's add some lightning. That will be good. Yeah, lightning. It just didn't work. Didn't work too well. But I tried. It looks cool, but then it was competing with the light from the left, and it says, you can't have both. It just doesn't work out. So I ended up having just the light eventually. And the details is really what helps to really tie everything down. When you start tightening everything up and detailing, it just really helps bring realism into the whole picture. It's really cool. So details, people tell you, oh, details are not important. Well, they are important. Sure, composition is number one. You gotta have a good composition and good shapes, strong values, and then colors, but details really tie the whole thing up and makes it feel unified and like it belongs. And I tried to start fires there. It just didn't look like fires. looked weird to me. It's like, I'm just gonna remove that. Alright, some cannon fire shooting there on the other ship. Can you imagine these wars that we're having? That's like suicide. In the middle of the ocean, somewhere thousands of kilometers or miles away from home, they're just killing each other with cannons. Humans are stupid that way. Wars are stupid. But they make a cool subject to paint, right? Okay, doing some balancing, trying to darken. Yeah, it was a constant struggle with trying to figure out how to balance the whole thing. What's nice about Photoshop, you can go back and forth constantly and change, adjust, and just do whatever you want to do. There's no really penalties like in oil paints or something. In traditional media, you make a decision and it's there. It's gonna last. You can't really change it, which in a way actually trains you to make better decisions. Traditional media has a lot of advantages. Also, depending on the media that you work with. Medium. Gouache, for example, you can't mix really, so you have to work with solid shapes and make good decisions. Which is why teachers like to recommend that you start with gouache. Sorry, gouache, because you have to make solid decisions. But in Photoshop, if you start in digital, whether Photoshop or Clip Studio or whatever, you adopt bad habits. And I know I did. So there's a lot of things that I need to unwind and unlearn and relearn. Because I had to learn everything by myself. And that comes with penalties. Bad habits and things that I need to get rid of. Okay, some clouds. And I'm trying, I notice I get repetitive when I do whatever, clouds. So you have to make it look random. So I have to really concentrate on not to make anything look too like repetitive, like it's been done by somebody. So I gotta really pay attention and try to make it look natural, like it's just randomly generated in nature. So overall, art is a really game of concentration. You have to be really concentrated on what you're doing. Okay, so this is really bad, like lipstick or something. But the idea is there. I was thinking, wow, it's looking too bland. Just needed some more colors, a little bit more interesting. And there you go, some orange in there, like it's a sunset. That works out pretty well. Also works nicely with the greens. And studies help. I mean, studies help tons. Studies are so important. I've actually remembered this type of sunset from a study I did probably a year ago. It's just amazing how you can remember these things. I was stubborn. I tried to bring in that lightning. Oh, maybe let's put that lightning in. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. No, it's not gonna work. Take it out of here. Okay. There you go. So I finally figured out that the sails didn't look like sails because I wasn't communicating the material properly. So I finally figured out, hey, it needs to have some folds. Yeah, which reminds me, I actually forgot to do reflections from the sky on the folds. That's okay. It's kind of there. When you see the material, it's some sort of how do you call it? Fabric, I guess, like a strong fabric drapery. So it has its own language. It folds and moves. It's not just flat. So it's really important to understand materials and communicate them properly. And I don't know, the painting the ocean was actually surprisingly easier than I thought. It's like just but it also helps to understand. If you've ever been at the beach, swimming, and you know how salty it is, and you kind of think about how much the salt adds to create the foam in the water. So you kind of think about, oh well, this is not just regular water; it's very salty and it has it creates a lot of foam, so it's gonna have its own kind of full texture looking. So here I didn't just do the smoke. I used the smoke brush, which is good, but I also used the smudge tool to smudge it up a little bit, give it a little bit more life. And I actually realized how much edges help during the creation of this painting. Especially on the sails and everything basically. I used the smudge tool on pretty much the whole thing at the end, and it really helps to kind of keep the eye not too focused on everything at once. So if you learn edges, it really helps to give that certain classical look to your paintings. So not everything is going to be so sharp all at once. And it's better to start everything as sharp, edged, and then soften the edges, and then the other way around. Starting soft and then trying to sharpen is gonna take too long. And I finally started using the lasso tool more. I've been avoiding the lasso tool. I don't know why. More holes. It really adds character to the sails, showing they're torn by war, by the fighting, and that ship is burning up. It's like they've really been at it. Adding some more highlights to the clouds. It's pretty good. Not too bad. A few more minutes and it's done. Definitely getting there. There you go. A little bit more of that sea foam. And if you're wondering why it's like a weird plus shape, the canvas, it's because that's how the cover box is going to be. Those areas on the sides are going to be the parts that fold in around the cover. So that's why. Yeah, this is where I'm doing the smudging and just softening the edges so you can have an interesting play between hard and soft edges. I really like that look. It makes it look really nice. It also looks like it's moving a little bit because you have certain things out of focus as opposed to having everything in focus at the same time. It really helped to bring things back and forward, depends on what you want to do. That's the it's going to be the logo on one of the sails. I love the symmetry tool. It's so cool. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Doing some warping to make it go around the material a little bit more convincingly. Adding more shadows there. Yeah. Some final adjustments. Looking tight, looking tight. So one of the mistakes that I later figured out is that I had the sea too cool compared to the skies, because if it's a sunset, then then it would be pretty low, which means it would hit the water and would warm up the water more. So you can't have at a relative sunset time of day such cold low temperature, yeah, cold temperature for water. The water, everything has to be affected by the lighting the same way. It has to be consistent. So that was one of the things that I adjusted later. I add a little bit warmth on these waves. A little smoke, then smudging, make it look a little nicer. Yeah, pretty good. A little bit smudging on the waves, make it look like it's moving and stuff. Alright, so it's coming to a close. Man, I talked for 27 minutes. That wasn't too bad. Yeah, if you stayed all the way, let me know if you liked it. What would you like to see more? What would you like not to see? Alright, so hasta la vista and take care.